Shoplifter lives in $1 million home. A woman who stole a car at the Villages blames it on drugs. A man was sentenced to prison after found with child porn. The Villages has obtained a permit to start interior demolition at the Rialto movie theater at Spanish Springs. Florida to crack down on hit-and-run drivers. Handyman that works at the Villages arrested after a brawl over fruity pebbles. Villager gets 2 consecutive holes in one. Margarita Republic in the news again. Over 200 villagers show up at a meeting over safety on Morris Boulevard. This and more coming up. A villager living in a $1 million home has been arrested in multiple shoplifting incidents at Publix. Paul Heath, 66, who lives at 3638 Enterprise Drive, is facing multiple charges of misdemeanor theft following his arrest Monday by Sumter County Sheriff's deputies. Arrest reports indicate that the Birmingham, England native made multiple trips to the Publix grocery store at Colony Plaza. He was caught on surveillance selecting merchandise and then walking to another section of the store where he would conceal the merchandise in a bag or by some other means. He would leave the store without paying for the items. His action was captured on video surveillance. A store employee eventually got a photograph of the license plates of the vehicle with Heath had been driving. A deputy ran a license plate and located Heath's driver's license photo. His photo matched the person in the surveillance. Heath's address is located in the expensive Hyde Park section of the village of Charlotte. The home was purchased in 2021 for $1.15 million by a woman with a Pacific Groves, California mailing address. Heath is facing multiple charges of theft. He was booked at some county detention center on a $3,000 bond. Living in a $1 million house and shoplifting. Gotta be a sickness. A Village of Bonnybrook resident has been arrested in the theft of merchandise from Walmart at Buffalo Ridge Plaza in the Villages. Christine Louise Miller, 71, entered the store at about 5 p.m. Saturday and proceeded with merchandise through the self-checkout lane, according to the arrest report. She scanned some items, but did not scan or pay for $93 worth of items. She was stopped by the store personnel when she attempted to leave. The Philadelphia native was arrested on a charge of theft. She was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $1,000 bond. Self-checkout. Why is anybody doing self-checkout? You all know what's happening. They figured out how to get you to work for the store, work for the man for free. Homeless people are found squatting in a home near the Villages. Officers went Friday morning to investigate a possible burglary at a home located at 525 County Road 466 next to the village of La Zamora. When officers investigated, they found a Seco Energy electric meter that had been installed upside down. The meter was running backwards to where Seco was not notified of the services being used without payment. The property owner told police he was not aware of squatters had been living there. He said he wanted them removed from the property. Those arrested, Melissa Ann Salzer, 57, who is facing charges of burglary and theft of services. She was booked at Lake County Jail on an $11,000 bond. Tammy Mitchell Packard, 32, who is facing charges of burglary, theft of services, tampering with the utility meter, connecting utility services without consent, and possession of drug paraphernalia. She was booked at the jail on a $14,000 bond. Austin Joseph Estevez, 20, who is facing charges of burglary, theft of services, and possession of drug paraphernalia. He was booked at the Lake County Jail on a $12,000 bond. Christopher James Fitch, 39, who is facing charges of burglary, theft of services, and possession of drug paraphernalia. He was booked at the Lake County Jail on a $12,000 bond. I've said it before. If you leave, get one of your good neighbors to keep an eye on your place while you're gone, or have a good home watch service for no more than what home watch cost. I couldn't imagine myself not having one if I knew I was going to rent my house out or be gone for a long period of time. I would have home watch check on my house. They also have a service with Community Watch that for like $5 a day or something. They will drive by your house a couple of times a week. They'll walk around your house and they'll keep an eye on it for you. For $5, just for peace of mind, A man was arrested after an alleged altercation at a laundromat in the Villages. Paul David Stone, 56, who is homeless, went Saturday afternoon to the Rock and Wash laundromat next to Winn-Dixie at La Plaza Grande. That's at Spanish Springs. He was inside doing his laundry despite the fact that he had been banned from the premises several days earlier. Stone and another man got into an argument over a t-shirt. An altercation ensued, and Stone began yelling obscenities at bystanders. The native New Yorker, welcome New York, was arrested on charges of trespassing and disorderly conduct. He was booked to Lake County Jail on a $2,500 bond. A woman who claims she stole a car in the Villages admitted to law enforcement she has a drug problem. Dericia Elaine Whitfield, 26 of Summerfield, was traveling with friends in a black 2013 Chevy Equinox on Wednesday on U.S. Highway 441 in Bellevue when the vehicle was pulled over after it had been reported stolen. Whitfield claims she found the unlocked vehicle parked at a business in the Villages. She said the keys were in the car. You don't watch my videos, do you? Don't leave your keys in your car. She claims she intended to take the vehicle back. A search of Whitfield's pink handbag turned up methamphetamine, marijuana, and drug paraphernalia. Whitfield said she does not smoke methamphetamine often, and her drug of choice has been fentanyl. She said she would like help getting off drugs because she is fearful the drugs will lead to her death. Well, duh. It leads to everybody's death if you're on fentanyl. Haven't you been watching the news lately? I'm sorry. I don't feel sorry for a lot of these drug addicts. They chose to do it with the knowledge knowing what happened. They decided to do it anyway. A man has been sentenced to 5 years in prison after he was found with child pornography on his computer at his mother's home in the Villages. Thanks, Mom. Kevin Paul Clark, 30, was sentenced this week in Lake County Court to 5 years in state prison. He was arrested December 3rd, 2020 at his mother's home on Privette Drive in the village of Pine Ridge. She is no longer living there. Clark's last reported address was 1219 San Bernardino Way in the Villages. A tip was received from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children that someone was uploading images depicting the sexual exploitation of children. The internet protocol address was traced to the CenturyLink account at the home in the Fruitland Park section of the Villages. A female Florida Department of Law Enforcement agent led the investigation, arriving at the home and making contact with Clark, who said he had been residing at the home since September 16, 2020. He said he was on reserve status with the U.S. Air Force. The New York native admitted he just happened to come across the digital images and videos depicting the sexual exploitation of children, according to the arrest report from Florida Department of Law Enforcement. He denied uploading images. A forensic preview of Clark's phone and computer turned up 17 child pornography files. The images include girls ranging in ages from 8 to 12. Florida's friendliest hometown. The Villages has obtained a permit for interior demolition at the Rialto Theater at Spanish Springs Town Square. The permit was issued this week by the town of Lady Lake. Genesis Health Clubs, which purchased the MVP Athletic Club at Spanish Springs and Brownwood in May, will be moving from La Rihanna building at Spanish Springs to the shuttered movie theater. The Rialto Theater was originally opened in 1998, closed for a planned renovation in December 2019. Within months, the COVID-19 pandemic swept the nation, closing movie theaters from coast to coast. As the pandemic waned and other movie theaters eventually reopened, the Rialto Theater remained closed. The Barnstorm Theater in Brownwood is also closed. The Old Mill Playhouse in Lake Sumter Landing is the lone theater operating in the Villages. I gotta tell you, it seems like Lake Sumter, this is a developer decision here. He has chosen that to be the square that they give a little more attention to because it's the largest square, and that's the square where Fox always shows up, and that's where they do their stuff down there. But between the two theaters, the one at the Old Mill and Brownwood Theater down here, by far, hands down, The Brownwood Theater is a better theater. Seating, everything about it. Why they decided to leave that one open, full well knowing that they was going to build a Foursquare, which they're working on now, all the way further south, which would put more Brownwood toward the center of all the villages than anywhere else. I've always been kind of puzzled about why that decision was made, but hey, not my decision. An unlicensed driver from Nicaragua has been charged with driving under the influence after the Florida Department of Law Enforcement returned lab results indicating he was driving at 3 times the legal limit. Eliza Danila Pinado, 26, of Lady Lake, was arrested Monday on a warrant charging him with DUI in connection with a crash November 27th in Fruitland Park. Pinado was found in a white Nissan sedan at 1 a.m. with his feet hanging out the driver's side of the vehicle, according to the affidavit. An officer who found the vehicle noticed that the front bumper was missing. Pinado, who spoke primarily Spanish, admitted he consumed 3 tequila drinks. Ooh, I think maybe just a little bit more than that. A second officer had discovered that a bicycle lane sign had been struck, and it appeared the damage had been done by Pinado's vehicle. Did you hear that? Bicycle lane, and there's a sign there, and he struck it. If there'd been somebody in that bicycle lane, they would have been struck also. You got to be careful with these bicycles. I'm telling you around here, there's so many of them when snowbirds are here, and I got nothing against bicycles. What I have is concern for your safety. A speeding apartment dweller was arrested on a notorious cut-through route in the villages. Cut-through. Kayla Nicole Ramos, 36, who lives in the Lake Sumter Apartments on County Road 466 at Cherry Lake Road, was driving a black Jeep SUV at 8:23 a.m. Monday on Chula Vista Avenue at Amarillo Place when she was caught at radar traveling 41 miles an hour in a 25 miles per hour zone. Traffic and speeding on Chula Vista Avenue has been a source of anxiety for villagers for years. It has. The Watercrest Senior Living employee was driving on a license which had been suspended for failure to pay traffic fine. She has 4 previous convictions for driving while license suspended, dating back to 2008. Ramos was arrested on a felony charge of driving while license suspended. She was also issued a written warning for speeding. The Florida native was booked at the Lake County Jail and released after posting a $2,000 bond. I read this mainly because we had Port Sutton this week, and I mentioned it again. I've mentioned this several times. I don't do it all the time, but I bring it up once in a while. If you're going to buy a house in the villages, new or pre-owned makes no difference. The one thing that you need to know, and it may bother you, it may not bother you, it bothers me, so I made sure that I didn't do this. I made sure that my house that I was looking at to buy was not on a road that could be considered a cut-through street. This is not a phrase I made up. Cut-through street, what is that? If you're on a street that if you drive straight through your neighborhood, it takes you to a business district of some kind, and it connects a street from over yonder to another street over yonder. UPS trucks, delivery trucks, Amazon trucks, everybody that works in one of those 2 areas going and coming, they're going to use your road to cut through it. And I just didn't want to be on that kind of a road. And so where I'm at, this is not a cut through road, period. So just know that if you buy a house, check that out. I advise you to check it out. It's okay to buy a house on a cut through street if you're not bothered by the traffic. But if you are, be advised. A 5-year trend is showing a disturbing rise in hit-and-run crashes in Florida. Yes. In December, 91-year-old Marilyn Hamilton of the Village was sentenced to 5 years in prison after hitting husband and wife bicyclists pedaling on Morse Boulevard. It was a sobering sentence for such an elderly lady with no prior criminal history. At Hamilton's sentencing hearing, the judge made it clear it was her decision to flee that required such a tough sentence. In Florida, over the past 5 years, there were 515,957 hit-and-run crashes that resulted in 1,251 fatalities. That, on average, is 103,191 hit-and-run crashes, resulting in 250 deaths per year in the state. That's shocking to me. There's that people hit and run. But you can about figure out why people are driving with drugs and they don't want to get caught. People's license around here anyway, they're all suspended. They don't seem to have an operable driver's license, so they take off. They're drunk or been drinking. They take off. They're illegal. They take off. Florida has been experiencing far too many hit-and-run tragedies far too long, and this needs to change. Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles Executive Director David Kerner said, drivers who flee the scene of a crash are lawbreakers and displaying disregard toward other people's lives and property. Fleeing the scene of a crash will cause severe lifelong penalties, and law enforcement, including our state troopers, will track you down, those offenders, to make sure they are held accountable under the law. Well, I'm glad that they're going to finally look into it. I'm glad they're going to actually work to stop it. I do think that they will, but I always have this on the back of my mind, and by that what I mean is talk is cheap. I want to see some action. Catherine D. Leonardis of the village of Pinellas got her second hole-in-one on Monday, January 30th at the Roosevelt Executive Golf Course. She scored the lucky ace on hole number 4 at 98 yards. Congratulations, Catherine. That's great. There's two of them there, Roosevelt and Truman. Out of the two golf courses, my favorite there is Truman. I just liked it. It's hilly. It's not flat like you would think Florida's would be. They're both nice courses, but my favorite is Truman. Leave a comment below if you disagree. A handyman who works in the villages was arrested in a brawl over fruity pebbles. That's a worthwhile fight right there. Joshua Lee Poole, 44, was arrested on 2 counts of battery following an altercation Tuesday night at the San Pedro Villas in the village of Rio Grande, according to the arrest report. The handyman, who stands 5 feet 11 inches tall and weighs 200 pounds, was eating the breakfast cereal, which belonged to the other 2 residents at the home. Poole began to choke the other man before putting him into a headlock. A woman tried to break it up, but Poole pushed her away with his free hand. You can picture this, can't you? You're eating my Fruity Pebbles. Those are my Fruity Pebbles. I'm going to beat you up. And she said, oh, stop it. Stop, you two. You two guys are acting like children. Stop it. I'll buy your own box of Fruity Pebbles next time I go to the store. Oh, God. Oh, some people. Poole dragged the man through the rest of the house, threw him into the wall, and pinned him to the ground. While he was pinned, Poole struck the man in his right eye with his elbow. Poole was arrested on a felony charge of battery by strangulation and a misdemeanor charge of battery. He was booked into some kind of detention center and released after posting a $1,000 bond. Boys, don't make me come back there and separate you two. An 85-year-old snowbird sex offender has been jailed without bond after daring law enforcement to come and get him. You're 85, man. What are you doing? John Peter Higgins, who splits his time between Darien, Illinois, and his home at 927 Bristol Terrace in the village of Ashland, was booked Thursday at the Sumter County Detention Center. In 2012, he was convicted on a charge of aggravated criminal sexual abuse of a victim under the age of 13 in DuPaul County, Illinois. He had kissed and fondled a young girl. He acquired his home in the villages in 2014. Sumter County Sheriff's deputies became aware that he did not fulfill his statutory responsibilities to properly register his sex offender status here. A deputy called Wednesday and left a message on Higgins' cell phone advising him of the need to come in and register. Another law enforcement made a second call to Higgins. Come and get me, he told the deputy. And they will. However, Higgins later showed up at the sheriff's office, but apparently grew impatient and refused to wait to follow the proper procedure. Come get me, he once again dared the deputies. He walked out of the jail without registering. The Chicago native was arrested on a third-degree felony charge of failure to register as a sex offender. Who are you daring, man? You're 85 years old. They put a 90-some-year-old lady in jail for 5 years. If you don't think they'll put your butt in jail, dude, you're messing with the wrong people down here. They will put you in jail. Word to the wise, man. Just word to the wise. A villager completed a nearly impossible feat with 2 consecutive par 3 holes in one. Bob McCoy of Buttonwood Heights was golfing January 24th at Mallory Hill Country Club when he scored 2 aces in the same round of golf. The first was on hole number 7, last par 3 on the Virginia course. It was 120 yards with a 9-iron. The second hole-in-one came 5 holes later on Amelia. Number 3. It was a par 3. It was 130 yards, and he'd done that with an 8-iron. I know there have been a few cases in the United States where some people had 2 holes in one during the same round of golf, but never consecutive. The Florida Golf Association says they have never heard of this. The National Hole-in-One Association says the odds are 1 in 67 million. Well, congratulations on that. Your name is in there with an elite group of people that's done something that most people has never done or never will do. You should have went out and bought a lottery ticket. You know you're going to hear that from everybody. Get a lottery ticket. You're the luckiest guy around. But congratulations. Glenn Forson of the village of Santiago got his first hole-in-one. He scored the lucky ace Friday, February 3rd at hole number 6 at Belmont Executive Golf Course at 158 yards with a 5-iron. He did it while facing the wind, which was blowing at about 20 miles per hour. Cool. I'll tell you what, that wind blowing in your face, sometimes you got to get that extra iron or get that little extra oomph to the hit, but that was perfect. Good for you. A tequila drinker was arrested after leaving Margarita Republic in the Villages. Brittany Lachey Allen, 24, of Leesburg, was driving at 2 a.m. Sunday, turning on Highway US 27 and 441 from Main Street when she began accelerating and was caught on radar traveling at 61 miles per hour in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. She made a U-turn and proceeded onto La Plaza Parkway and was straddling 2 lanes. The officer approached the vehicle and immediately detected the odor of alcohol coming from the driver, who was not wearing a seatbelt. She lost her balance and staggered through field sobriety exercises. Just take me to jail because I'm lit, she said. The Alabama native said she had been at Margarita Republic at Spanish Springs Town Square and was heading home. She said she had consumed 6 to 7 shots of tequila as well as mixed drinks. A bottle of Patron tequila was found in the vehicle. It was about 1/4 full. She provided breath samples that registered .233 and .241 blood alcohol content. During a trip to jail, she urinated in the back seat of the squad car and laughed about it. She's wasted. Allen was arrested on a charge of driving under the influence. She was cited for not wearing a seatbelt and issued a warning for speeding. We were all young once. I'm not too critical on it. You just don't drive. I don't care if you go out and party. I don't think most people do. We all did, right? I think most of us did. Just don't get in the car. Call somebody to come and get you. Call your sister. Call your mom. Call a cab. Call an Uber driver. Somebody. A competency evaluation has been ordered for a villager accusing of threatening to kill her court-appointed guardian. A judge has ordered the evaluation of 64-year-old Deborah Jean Freeman of the village of Polo Ridge, who was arrested this past October after allegedly sending a chilling text message in which she threatened to kill her court-appointed guardian. The evaluation will help determine if Freeman understands the seriousness of the charge against her. Freeman was arrested at her home on a charge of intimidation. Freeman sent a text message to her psychologist stating she was going to murder her court-appointed guardian for starving her and controlling her money, according to the arrest report. Freeman has a history of arrests, including attacking a deputy, throwing a cream soda at a man at her home. She remains free on bond. Ooh, that's kind of scary. The 2023 Winter Model Train Show and Sale concluded Sunday at the Savannah Center in the Villages. Hosted by the Villages Railroad Historical Society, the show focused on preserving railroad history and inspiring the next generation of train enthusiasts. Different displays featured every size of train, from the smallest Z scale to the largest G scale. More than 20 trains chugged along through interactive displays and captured the imagination of young and old alike. Tim Fahey, chairman of the Villages Model Train Club, said just more than 1,000 people came to see the show over the weekend. Spectators were immersed in lights, sounds, constant movement, and they explored the showroom. It brings people back to their childhoods. I love talking to people about it. Fahey and about 95 members of the club assembled the displays themselves. The largest model set is 30-foot circular track in the center of the showroom, was assembled in 12-foot increment. Most of the details in the display were made from discarded household items, including file folders, yogurt cups, and yard clippings. These items created different themed sections around the track, but the club is not finished with it yet. We plan to add a circus and a section to honor veterans in time for the Christmas show. I had a guy I worked with. He was big in model trains too. The thing that gets me about the model train people is the detail. Not really the train so much. It's the detail and everything else. It's remarkable sometimes to actually go and see some of these details. More than 200 villagers are expected to show up for the discussion of a Morris Boulevard safety study. Community Development District 1 supervisors are expected to hear from Kimley Horm and Associates Incorporated on Friday morning after the traffic study into the dangers and commingling of golf carts and automobiles on Morris Boulevard north of County Road 466. Villager Jim Vaccaro has been a vocal critic of a seemingly ambivalence on the part of officials when it comes to the dangers of Morris Boulevard. Last year, a villager was in her golf cart when she was hit by a van on Morris Boulevard. She later died of injuries suffered in that crash. In 2021, a snowbird in a golf cart was killed after he was leaving the postal station and was struck by a two-seater Mercedes. Vaccaro said 200 residents, once again wearing red shirts to show their solidarity on this sensitive topic, will be at the CDD1 Board of Supervisors meeting set for 8 a.m. Friday at the Savannah Center. That is a problem up there. It's been that way for years. And as the villages gets bigger and bigger, more and more people work here, more and more people live here. The heavier the traffic keeps getting, these areas that were kind of dangerous, say 10 years ago, are super dangerous today. Most of it is because of distracted drivers. A woman has been released after serving 10 days in jail after skipping out on a tab at a restaurant in the Villages. Terry Lee Clutter, 43 of Ocala, was released Wednesday from the Lake County Jail. Earlier that day in Lake County Court, she pleaded no contest to a charge of fraud. She was sentenced to time already served and ordered to pay $29.27 plus a $3.50 service fee to Perkins Restaurant on Bacar Boulevard in the Villages. She must also pay $423 in court costs. Clutter was originally arrested on September 6 after leaving Perkins Restaurant 5 days earlier without paying her bill. When she walked out without paying, restaurant workers tried to give her the bill. She says, "I don't need it," and walked away. Clutter strolled out of the restaurant parking lot and got into her white Honda four-door sedan. The manager of the restaurant shot a photo of her license plate and turned it over to the Leg to Lake Department. That was an expensive meal, whatever it was. I read this report last week where she got arrested, $20, $23 or something. No common sense. Villager Jim Carroll got a hole-in-one Wednesday, February 1 at El Diablo Executive Golf Course's hole number 9. Having 122 yards to the back pin, Carroll chose a 5-wood. Seeing that the pin was in the back on an elevated hole, the golfers could only hear the ball hitting the pin. His shot was witnessed by Dave Warner and Jack Newland and George Reams. This was Carroll's second hole-in-one. Good for you, dude. Good for you. Second hole-in-one. By the way, I like your outfit. That is some blue. But you look good, man. You look good. A Mariana Villas woman has been sentenced to an attack on a man during a bad breakup. Allison Kelly Carney, 55, was placed on probation for 1 year after pleading no contest last week in Lake Sumter County Court to a charge of battery. Carney had been arrested September 26 at her home at 3560 Mariana Place after her man friend went to the Sumter County Sheriff's Office Public Safety Building at Pinellas Plaza to report that he had been attacked by Carney. He said he had moved in about a month earlier and they were in a romantic relationship. However, he complained that the Massachusetts natives drinking was causing a problem in their relationship. He said that Carney, who was arrested in 2020 on a drunk driving charge after she crashed an Aldi A4 in the roundabout at Buena Vista Boulevard and Bailey Trail, has a drinking problem and would start arguments for no reason while she was under the influence of alcohol. On the day of the final blowup, they were arguing, and Carney's man friend decided it was the final straw. He began packing his belongings. He left for a short time, but indicated he would return. He had an expensive golf cart cover, which Carney threw out into the driveway. She also stuffed his personal property into a trash bag and put them out by the curb for garbage pickup. I think that's a hint, dude. He returned and the altercation followed in the garage. She left scratch marks on his elbow and forehead. She also left him with bruises on his biceps. Carney told deputies they'd been in a romantic relationship for approximately 3 weeks, and I'm sorry, you just met this lady, and within what'd you say, a month on this report, and you moved in her house? Who does that? I don't get it. You know, me and Sue, we went together for, I'm thinking 2 or 3 years before we even got married. I mean, come on. I think people just do things too quick nowadays, but I will cut some slack here. We are older people here, and we don't have time to waste. Carney told deputies they'd been in a romantic relationship for approximately 3 weeks, and they were both living together in her villa, for which she paid $589,900 in March 2022. She said she fell in love and admitted things had moved quickly. Yes, they have. She added that he is a smoker and she does not smoke. Well, that's a deal breaker for me just right there. I will not live with somebody that smokes, period. My children, my boys smoke. They know they don't smoke in my house at all. Go outside. I don't care if it's raining outside. I wouldn't care if it's 40 below zero. You're not smoking in my house. Carney had been jailed last year on probation violation. An 84-year-old villager who wrote erotic sex stories and had multiple child pornography images on his computer is back home after a lengthy jail term. James Leroy Stone, who lives at 3024 Batali Court in the village of Glenbrook, registered his return to Florida's friendliest hometown with a Florida Department of Law Enforcement following his release after nearly a year at the Lake County Jail. The Iowa native was living in Leesburg in 2020 when a cyber tip was received from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children regarding an image traced to Stone's Comcast account at 4931 Long Meadow Drive in Leesburg. The digital image depicted a naked juvenile female estimated to be less than 12 years old, according to the affidavit. The juvenile was lying on her back with her legs spread. There were other images discovered on his computer and an external hard drive, including girls as young as 4. A search warrant was obtained, and Stone said he observed regular adult pornography, but also admitted he performed internet searches with the terms, tiny tits and dad-daughter. A forensic preview of a tablet found within the residence included multiple erotic stories written by James Leroy Stone in which adult males engaged in sexual activities with children. Stone claimed the images of children were not pornographic. Court documents indicated that Stone was living in the Villages at the time of his sentencing. Last year, he purchased a home in the Villages in 2018. You never know who's going to be sitting next to you at the square, or you never know who's going to be sitting at the family swimming pools here. That's why I say these guys' pictures should be at all of the family pools. Letters to the editor. Residents are doing an important service by demanding answers about possible solutions to enhance safety on Morris Boulevard north of County Road 466. More than 200 villagers are expected to show up for a discussion of a Morris Boulevard safety study later this week. Community Development District 1 supervisors will hear from Kimberly Horn and Associates Incorporated on Friday morning about the traffic study into the dangers of commingling of golf carts and automobiles on Morris Boulevard north of County Road 466. Well, they'll have to do that study, and I don't know if I really, studies are one thing, but if they don't live here and if they don't get in their golf cart and if they don't travel that road on a daily basis, truthfully, they don't really have any idea. The easiest solution on that road, really, other than a couple of things that really should be fixed, that dip. You all know what I'm talking about when I say that dip. That's got to be fixed. Really just have the cops come down there and patrol that heavy. The more that they patrol that area, the slower people's going to go and the more they're going to pay attention. Easy peasy. And we already pay for the cops. Just my thought. Well, I hope you enjoyed the news this week. That's all there is. I know there's a lot of it. So with that being said,
don't leave the key in the golf cart.